Alright, so today I want to show you how to make a spotted ball python, how you can actually put spots in the pattern of a ball python, and I'd say it's a little bit tricky. There's several ways you can actually do it, and you can actually choose certain genes in combination that almost always give you a lot of spots on the ball python. Sometimes you can have bigger spots, sometimes the spots can be so small they're almost like freckles, and some genes you can actually line breed to breed more spots into a particular morph, and in other cases you can actually just buy a gene and then actually as it matures and ages that snake naturally produces a lot of spots. And there's actually a few kind of experiments that I'd like to see done where I think you can actually make a really awesome spotted ball python if you selectively bred certain snakes together. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to jump over to the internet and I want to show you how to make a spotted ball python. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here at Morphmarket.com and I want to start with three genes that are really close together. That is the static, the acid, and the confusion. And a lot of people think they're actually three different lines of the same gene, pretty much act the same way in combos. And essentially this is what happens when you actually add the static to a super blast spot nose. It just completely explodes the pattern. And I'd say the static is similar to leopard, except it's almost like a leopard on steroids, where a leopard just, really scrambles up the pattern, and the static and acid and confusion just really explode it into little tiny freckles all over the snakes. Makes for some really impressive combos. So this is actually the static. I wanted to show you this one. We think it's pretty close. This is actually the confusion. This is the confusion with the high intensity orange dream, the fire, and the spider. And you can see how the confusion just really shatters the pattern into spots all over the snake. Makes for a really awesome combo. And the acid too. This is actually the acid pinstripe spot nose. And you can see how it really explodes the pattern and gives it kind of little freckles all over. I'd say this is probably as close as you could get as far as kind of the spots completely all over the snake from the top to the bottom. So there's another project I kind of wanted to show you that is kind of, I really like to see some more work done on this project, and that is I've actually seen some pieds where they actually have little spots all over the pied, and it got me thinking, when I first started in ball pythons, I always thought this would be a fantastic project to actually pick out a few of these pieds over here on Morphmarket that have a lot of little black spots all through the pieds and actually breed them together. And as a matter of fact, the first thing that kind of came to my mind is the cow reticulated python. I don't know if you've ever seen the cow, but it's pretty amazing. It's essentially what it is. It's an all-white snake with black spots all over it, and you can actually make it with certain genes in reticulated pythons. And when I first saw this in ball pythons, I thought, I wonder if that's actually genetic. If you actually took a few of these and bred them together, if you'd actually reproduce the spots, or if it's a type of paradox where it's just kind of a one-time kind of a fluke, and then you actually don't get any spots. But it'd be kind of an interesting project to work with, especially if you picked up a couple of them that had a lot of spots. And I actually found this one over on Morphmarket. I found two more over on the internet. These are gonna blow you away. Take a look at this one. This is the craziest pied ball python that I've ever seen. So many spots. As a matter of fact, I was looking for this over on Morphmarket, and I was searching through all 10,000 pieds over there. I got about halfway through. It took me an hour and a half, and I was like through about 5,000 pieds, and I said, I'm just gonna look on the internet because I saw this one before and I really wanted to show you this one. It's a really unique pied with all these spots, and to me it's something like this almost has to be genetic. I would say it'd probably have a tendency to throw offspring with some spots, and I haven't really contacted the breeder or the people that are working with these, but it'd be kind of interesting to see if you actually could reproduce this. I actually pulled up one more over here. Take a look at this one. This is really awesome. I actually found this on the internet as well. Another pied, and it's actually listed as a spotted pied. Really interesting. And I was thinking if you could actually take these, if it was actually genetic, you could breed it with like a lesser, work lesser into the pied, which would give you an all white pied and keep the spots. And you could actually, theoretically, you could get your cow ball python, similar to the cow reticulated python, which is all white with kind of like spots like this. Pretty awesome project. So here is a morph that actually naturally produces spots as it matures. As a matter of fact, I bought a Coral Glow, which is pretty much the same thing as a banana, and I was looking all over the internet for the brightest, most colorful Coral Glow that I could possibly find. And when they actually shipped it to me, it wasn't colorful and it was all full of spots. And at first I was like, did you ship me the right snake? Because it didn't look anything like the picture over on Morphmarket. And come to find out, when Coral Glows and bananas are really small, they have a lot of oranges and purples, and they don't have hardly any spots. Most of them don't have any spots. And as they grow and mature, they kind of lose the purplish and the orange, and it turns into like a two-tone yellow, and they get a whole bunch of spots, more and more freckles as they mature. And it really surprised me when I first bought my first Coral Glow and then watched it transform into a completely different snake. And take a look, I pulled up a couple more pictures. This is essentially what they turn into, like a two-tone yellow, and they get all these freckles all over the place. It's pretty amazing. Even freckles on the head. And if you're not used to this, and especially if you're new into ball pythons, the first thing you think is, oh my goodness, my snake has mites, because this is essentially what the little blood mites look like. And they start like this, and they actually put sores all over your snake. They are really difficult to get rid of. And let me tell you, you definitely don't want mites. And if you buy a banana or a Coral Glow, you can actually be tricked into thinking that you have mites. And I actually found another one over here, and it's kind of interesting in this combo. Look at all the spots on this one. For some reason, it seems like the black pastel, when mixed with the banana or the Coral Glow, really brings out even more spots in the snake. And I was really surprised to actually find one with so many spots. This is pretty incredible. So here is another combo that you can actually use to actually breed into, I'd say in most cases, it's actually predictable, where you can actually target the spots on a ball python, and that would be Super Inchi, especially when you mix it with clown. So you mix the Super Inchi with the clown and you get bigger spots all along the top. It gives you a completely different appearance than like the freckles all over or the spots from the top to the bottom. And the Super Inchi always brings all the pattern up to the top, and it really depends on the line of Inchi. Sometimes it can really reduce the pattern, and sometimes it can almost give you a pattern where you can almost hardly even see the spots with the Super Inchi. I actually brought up a few more here, and kind of the interesting thing with the Super Inchi, if you mix it with the Orange Dream, it even reduces the spots even more. It seems like all the Orange Dream Super Inchis that I found over here on Morphmarket are extremely reduced into little tiny spots all over the snake. And Super Orange Dream is really expensive, so it's kind of a difficult project to get into. This one actually also has Fire and Spider in the mix, and the Spider also kind of reduces the pattern even more. Kind of is probably why you kind of lose a lot of the pattern down at the tail end of the snake, probably because of the Super Inchi plus the Spider really reducing the pattern. I actually have one more here. This one's pretty awesome. Spots right down the top of the snake. This is actually the Super Inchi with the Orange Dream and Leopard and Calico on top of it. As a matter of fact, I think if you stripped away the Leopard and the Calico, you'd probably still have just really reduced spots right down the top of the snake. So here's another one that's kind of interesting. This is actually just the base morph of a clown. And you actually start looking through the clowns, and some of them almost have like normal alien heads on the sides of the snake. And some of them are actually really reduced into all these spots. And I think with the clowns, you could actually line breed and get more spots on the side of the snake, depending on what you're breeding. As a matter of fact, I've seen some people breed a couple of these together, and all the offspring in the whole clutch are all spotted on the sides like this. I definitely think you can line breed this in. And I brought up a couple more pictures of some of the more reduced clowns where you just have spots right down the side. And clown is one of the most common morphs in ball pythons. It's actually recessive mutation, and I'd say it's probably the king of combos when it comes to recessive. Makes some really awesome combos when mixed with other genes. Here's one more clown. You can definitely see on some of these examples where it reduces the pattern. You can see on some clowns ones you actually see kind of these like Roswell gray alien heads all down the side of the snake, and then some lines of clown. It actually reduces it all down to just little spots over here. And you can actually take clown and mix it with certain combos and you get spots every single time. And I wanted to show you this one over here. This is actually the spot nose leopard clown, which is also known as the Batman. You can actually come over here to Morphmarket, type in Batman, and it separates all the gene, the spot nose, the leopard, and the clown. And you always get all these spots all along the snake. Makes for a really awesome snake. The problem with the Batman is it's really expensive. A lot of these are really expensive, actually. This one actually sold for $7,000. Pretty incredible. And Batmans are still really super expensive. Here's another one. This is actually the Batman with the Firefly mixed in. So this is the fire and the pastel mixed in with the Batman. You can see it kind of has this line right down the top, but it still really keeps a lot of spots on the side from the Batman. If we actually look at the price on this one is $5,640. Actually just sold, so you can see the price is coming down a little bit, but still way out of my price range. These are really awesome combos, the Batman. Alright, so it is time for the question of the day. And Atrocious asks, how often do you change the press and seal on your egg boxes in the incubator? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, when I do incubate my snake eggs, I put them in a plastic box and I cover the top with press and seal without any other holes in the box. And essentially what that does is it seals in all the humidity, but the air can transfer in and out of the press and seal into the box. And it's kind of a weird concept. I kind of discovered it a few years ago and it's been working fantastic. The one thing you want to kind of be careful of when you're using press and seal is that after a few weeks it builds up some condensation on the press and seal and it kind of rains down on the eggs. And if you get too much of that kind of condensation dripping down on your eggs from the press and seal or from the sides, you can actually promote your eggs to mold a little bit. And a little bit of mold on your eggs is pretty amazing. The snakes can still hatch out of those moldy eggs, but if you get too much mold on your eggs, it can actually kill the egg. So what I started doing is actually last year at the beginning of the year I started replacing the press and seal every 2 or 3 weeks just to kind of control the condensation. And then towards the end of the season what I actually did is I was just taking off the press and seal and just wiping it down with a towel and then putting the press and seal back on. It's still sticky enough to actually stick to the tub, so you can actually keep reusing your press and seal. But I would definitely go in and check on it and remove the condensation every 2 to 3 weeks. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.